among the many key preparations by the opposition MPP to take control of the Jubilee House and Parliament in the next general elections is the highly anticipated National Delegates Conference, which will table about 50 proposed amendments to the party's constitution. As preparations for the conference hit their stride, whispers of a legal suit attempting to halt the event organizers have done little to dampen the party's momentum. Insiders reveal the NPP remains undeterred, focused to squarely on the task ahead as delegates converge for what promises to be a defining moment. Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed, spoke with my colleague Faustina Safo, who asked him about a pending legal suit to stop the conference from going ahead.
Depicted that there is confusion out there with respect to a so-called injunction that we have not cited. In the democracy, injunctions are served. And I'm just hearing it from the media. I don't know whether we have such thing that is existing. And I think that until that is done within its proper perspective, we cannot say there is. There is also history to guide the issues of injunctions. When we decided to put an injunction on Ablekuma North constituency illegally rerun elections, the court did not sit on it until the time that it discharged it and did not stop the Electoral Commission from proceeding to organize themselves to go for that illegal election. I will continue to describe it so because I am fortified with the laws of elections to be able to allow me to describe that. So I am not aware of any injunction. I'm just hearing it from you.
So that's the Deputy General Secretary of the MPP. My colleague Michael Ashley has just returned from the University of Ghana Stadium and joins me in studio with some details. Michael, what's the situation on the ground as we speak?
Well, Brace, we know that one of the major things that have to be done to control the heavy traffic, not just vehicles, but human beings especially. We're expecting well over 5,500 individuals at the UG Stadium in less than 12 hours from now. So definitely one of the things that has to do is crowd control. Just when I even got there, I saw the national organizer, Henry Nana Boache, and a company of some senior policemen, and then individuals from the Ghana National Fire Service who were plotting and planning where exactly to put barricades, who should pass where, who should not pass where. And this was done right from the entrance. If you enter the University of Ghana, you know the University of Ghana very well. Just where the stadium is, there's a single road that enters. There are barricades going to be there. And then when you even cross the fence to the stadium, there are more barricades there. To be definitely, I'm sure tomorrow, the question will be that who are you and where exactly are you going to sit? What access do you have so they know how exactly to walk you through? They were done with the outside, the exterior of the stadium. In the stadium itself, I saw them looking at which places people can walk past through, because definitely what they don't want tomorrow will be a very chaotic scene. So security-wise, definitely a big consideration for the MPP, and that is something I've seen them put a lot of effort into whilst they're making their final preparations. One thing as well you see on the ground definitely is people coming in and out, especially vendors who are trying to cash in at this particular moment. But these are not people that have access to the inner perimeter, but certainly you feel the emotions, the joy on the faces of the people who are MPP stalwarts or enthusiasts of the MPP, or even members of the MPP who were smiling and laughing up and down the staircase at the UG Stadium.
Now, in terms of party paraphernalia, did you see any of them? Because earlier in the morning, there were videos hovering around in which you could see some photographs around. Did you see any?
Brace, so right from Okponglo traffic light, this paraphernalia will hit you in the face. I mean, you have a lot of pole stands with flags on them, right from the Okponglo stretch right to the University of Ghana Stadium itself. And then you go all the way to the stadium in itself. You see around the stadium, or of all the chairs over there, you definitely see something of MPP put on a post stand, a flag of a sort of a thing that is there. So certainly this well-branded program that they are hoping will catch the eye of not just MPP members, but definitely possibly attract more people and sway them to their side.
But they were trying to prevent the posters of possible candidates for the flag bearership. Did you see any?
So when I crossed the security barricade, right, or the University of Ghana's gate, the one at Okponglo, I saw a flag with the face of former vice president and flag bearer of the NPP, former flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And it hit him. I was like, wasn't there something against this? And then I realized that he wasn't the only one. In fact, almost everybody that's ever led the NPP had a very huge flag with their face and name
those
on,
who
on
have
it.
led the MPP.
Party. Yes.
Okay.
So I saw the likes of former President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I saw also Dombo, I saw Kufuor as well. So in fact, anybody who has been in pole position in the NPP had a flag of a stand or flag stand to themselves. So definitely, but generally, you wouldn't see anybody even brand. I didn't see a single person say wearing a cheddar hat, Baumia's name on it, or has a brine on it, or has a Japan's name on engineer Japan's name on it, or has Kennedy Japan's name on it. It wasn't that way. Maybe tomorrow it may be different, but today, no individual sort of campaign or subtle campaigning anywhere across the entire place, the venue that I managed to scout.
Interesting. I mean, when we get the party, I would want to find out from them what measures they've put in place to ensure that that does not happen. Again, as you mentioned, over 5,000 people, that's a lot. So security measures have to be uptight. What do we know? But did you speak to any of the party? Did they tell you what they've done?
Well, so in terms of security, as I stand, I don't know the full complement of security they're going to bring to the grounds. But again, I saw at least 3 different types of security men on the grounds with the MPP leadership today. I saw Ghana Police Service. I saw even within the Ghana Police Service, those in the blue uniform and those in the MTTD uniform, if you know them. And these are individuals that will definitely cater specifically for the traffic congestion that is expected around that area and the chaotic traffic situation that may arise. So the Ghana Police Service will possibly definitely handle the human traffic. And then Ghana National Fire Service, definitely that whose top priority will be to make sure that it's incident free.
Okay. I mean, this is your election headquarters, right? So tomorrow there has to be a special event for coverage of this particular conference. And Kweku Asante, who is a member of our political desk, joins me in studio. Kweku, what's the plan for the joint news coverage?
Well, it's 247 coverage, really. We are starting very early in the morning. We are going deep into the night. But before we get into the plan, let me tell you about something that literally was going to block the New Patriotic Party from going ahead with this program. 2 persons, members of the political party, Shamsuddin Idrisu and Kojo Brace, one from Wali Wali and one from Bantama, had filed an action at the High Court yesterday seeking to injunct the New Patriotic Party from going ahead with the National Delegates Conference for reasons they adduced in their suit. And in fact, yesterday, Shamsuddin Idrisu actually put out a statement actually disowning that legal action that had been filed in court. And we expected that today, perhaps, because of the recent Supreme Court ruling that said that a mere filing of an injunction will not act as an injunction, perhaps the process would have been expedited so that this matter would have been heard. But what we have now just seen and confirmed is that the 2 persons who did file this action have now filed a notice to discontinue this case at the High Court. And let me read this. It says, please take note that the plaintiffs herein wholly discontinue their action against the respondent with liberty to bring fresh action, and notice is given to you accordingly. Dated at Carisbrate Legal Consult, Kumasi, this 18th day of July. And so these persons have since withdrawn their action and they are no longer pursuing that application to injunct the New Patriotic Party from going ahead with tomorrow's event.
I presume that does not include Shamsuddin because he obviously
definitely after having disowned himself, but he is still listed on this action because his name was part of those who purportedly filed this action, and so his name necessarily had to be listed on that.
So this means that there's no pending legal issue that is going to prevent.
In fact, it's 5:42 now. As far as we are concerned, all courts will be closed now, unless some people can get some judges to sit in the night to actually grant an injunction application. All is set for the New Patriotic Party to have its National Delegates Conference tomorrow at the Lagos Stadium.
All right. Now, for joint news coverage, I mean, what time do we start, and what should people look forward to?
We start right at 6 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock there will be the news as usual, and the team on the ground will be giving us details in terms of what exactly is happening at the time. We expect that party supporters and officials will then be trooping in. We have a special build-up also right from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, which is exclusively going to focus on the grounds, all the action happening. You're going to have party stalwarts also in studio right here at Kukomemle, giving us an understanding of all the things that are going to go ahead, a number of the issues. The New Patriotic Party but the main agenda for this, sometimes constitutional amendments, among other things, certain proposals that have been made for the party towards getting to the next election and winning. And so we are going to discuss some of those with the very key people. Then, of course, there'll be Newsfile. Newsfile will discuss a host of national issues, but will focus also on that program that is happening at the Legon Stadium. And then between 12 and 3, when Newsfile ends, we'll have Akosua MFRDT anchoring that 3-hour belt in the afternoon to try and bring us sights and sound from the event. At the time, the event would have already started, and we'll be getting to know some of the resolutions the party will be taking. And then between 3 and 5, Faustin Asafo will also be anchoring this with Musa Dankwa, Kofi Bentel, and others who will all be in studio giving us some analysis on this. Before 5 p.m., Evans Mensah and Winston Amo and Co will also take over up until we know everything has ended. We'll be discussing the resolution. So this election headquarters, like you said, the best coverage is right here on Joy News. Enjoy FM.
So trust us to give you the best here. Could you stay with me still? Because government has announced firm steps towards the dissolution of the Board of Trustees overseeing the controversial National Cathedral project. This follows the uncovering of serious financial and governance irregularities in an independent audit report by Deloitte and Touche. At a news conference held at the Jubilee House a while ago, government spokesperson Felix Kwakye-Ofosu disclosed that President John Mahama has already dissolved the National Cathedral Secretariat effective May 1, 2025, and legal measures are now being pursued to formally dissolve the Board of Trustees.
The committee, as constituted, failed to meet the legally mandated composition, including the absence of the key statutory members required by law. In addition, the roles of chairperson and secretary were improperly designated, contrary to the clear provisions of the Act. This non-compliance undermines the legitimacy of documentation of procurement decisions taken by the committee and raises serious questions about the integrity and legality of the procurement processes executed under its authority. Now, in view of the above, which rock the very foundation of the project and the work of the secretariats and raise serious questions about the use of public funds, President John Dramani Mahama has directed that the following steps be taken. 1. The National Cathedral Secretariat, which used to operate from here at the presidency, stands dissolved as of 1st May 2025. Now, the National Cathedral Ghana was registered as limited by guarantee. In view of that, the Attorney General has been directed to take legal steps to ensure the dissolution of the Board of Trustees. And we expect that to be done in the coming days. Now, 3, the President has ordered that in the interest of transparency and accountability, the Deloitte and Touche audit reports will be published immediately after this briefing. So we will share copies with you, media men present, and we'll also put it out on various portals and social media handles so that the public can access it and review the contents for themselves and see whether the claims that some individuals have been exonerated is borne out by the contents of the report. Now, despite the damning findings contained in the Deloitte audit report, it does not cover the full scope of operations of the National Cathedral Secretariat and the project itself. The Auditor General has therefore been requested to commission a forensic audit into the National Cathedral project and the activities of the Secretariat. Now, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice has also been asked to take lawful steps to ensure the termination of the contract to prevent further costs and losses to the state. As I indicated, because of how lopsided the contract is, even as the contractor has ceased work at the site from March 2023 to date, he still continues to accrue payments. And we find that this will impose significant costs on the state. And therefore, President Mahama has ordered the Attorney General to take legal steps to terminate this lopsided contract so that we save on cost that will accrue to the state.
All right, so that's Felix Ofosu Kwache there. I'll come back to this matter because Kweku is still here with me with some details, and we will still be speaking to people who know more about anti-graft and all issues that concern this. But let me quickly get to the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed, and speak to him briefly about what's going to happen tomorrow. Haruna, I'm grateful to you for joining. Now, we understand that you expect over 5,000 people. In terms of security, what has been done?
Thank you very much, Kojo. Security has been put in place, enough security, and we have had several meetings with the Ghana Police Service. Yesterday we had a meeting. Today we had an intensive meeting to be able to have a run through of the program in terms of security arrangement. Every necessary step has been taken with regard to the security of the building and the security of the people within the premise of the stadium. So I can tell you confidently that some high-level security has been put in place. However, security is something you cannot just knock your chest over, but you need to check all the boxes to ensure that some level of protection is provided. But I can tell you that the security is well alert in terms of whatever that will come out from the conference.
And I was talking to our reporter about party paraphernalia. We know that definitely you cannot control whether or not people should not come there in photographs of potential party flag bearers. But what plans do you have? Is there any punitive measures that will be, instituted against people who would do that? Come in colors of people that want to be presidential candidates.
If anybody comes in with a T-shirt of that meter, the person will not even have. If you are a delegate, then and you come in, you'll be allowed to go and change. If you are not a delegate and you don't have even access to the stadium, you cannot come to the stadium. If you come and put a banner around the premise of the distance, the security agencies will pull it down. If you put any other advertisement of a candidate, all that will be pulled down. If you brand water and bring it, we would not accept that. So the security is aware of all this particular arrangement, and I believe that the security will make sure they do a lot of things to protect that. So even though some people will want to try, but definitely we'll make sure that it doesn't happen.
I'm grateful to you. Thank you very much. Haruna Mohammed is General Secretary, Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. Let's come back to the National Cathedral issue. Kweku, Felix says the board, the National Cathedral Secretariat, has been dissolved. But we know there was a statement from the board as well to this. What did he say?
In fact, that statement was born out of the announcement or the claims that government was considering converting the National Cathedral into a cultural convention center. Paul Opoku-Mensah signed that statement. It reads, the board of directors of the National Cathedral held an emergency meeting on July 7, 2025 in response to online media report that the National Cathedral site gifted by the state for the construction of the cathedral is to be converted into a cultural convention center. Although the board has not received official communication and or confirmation of the decision, it makes the following observation: that the National Cathedral was proposed to provide a sacred infrastructure for the former religious activities, that the site of the National Cathedral was gifted by the state to the National Cathedral of Ghana, incorporated as a company limited by guarantee, with the deed to the land transferred to the company. The designs of the cathedral, the Bible Museum, Biblical Garden, Economic Engine, comprising 10 revenue streams, including the 350-seater restaurant, banquet hall, conference center, have all been completed based on the layout and specifications of the site. Preparatory works on the land have all been completed, and with the architectural and design work for the cathedral and Bible Museum also completed. The National Cathedral is therefore not an abandoned project. The audit of the National Cathedral account by Deloitte and Touche confirmed that all state funds to the project are accounted for. That was the claim of Paul Opoku-Mensah, the Executive Director of the National Cathedral of Ghana at the time. And they went on to actually insist that the land deeds have all been transferred to them as a private company, as a private body of a sort, and now the National Cathedral has been registered as a company limited by guarantee.
But we're being told that the Secretariat itself was dissolved on May 1.
Exactly, and so that will bring into question how the executive secretary signed a statement, executive director I should say, signed a statement just about 2 weeks ago in July, when according to the presidency, that secretariat had been dissolved nearly 2 months prior. And so those are some of the questions that perhaps we'll be seeking answers from if we had Paul Opoku-Mensah, for instance. But the government claimed it dissolved this on May 1, but here's a statement in July talking about the fact that the National Cathedral is still in existence and someone signing off as executive director.
Okay, I'm grateful to you. Let's bring in Adam Senanu, who is anti-corruption campaigner. Adam, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. I mean, what do you make of government's announcement that it has dissolved the secretariat and in fact it is taking legal processes to then dissolve the National Board of Trustees? That's on Zoom. Okay, so we have Adam Senanu joining us via Zoom. Adam, do I have you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay. So yes, a company limited by guarantee can be voluntarily or involuntarily dissolved. What it means is that the state can take action if it has reason to believe that the company has not followed legal requirements, is engaging in activities that are illegal. The state can work with the Registrar General to bring processes to say, let's dissolve this company. So, yes, on one hand, one would expect that dissolution will involve board resolution of those there. But if there's evidence that things have not been done right, the state can also get it dissolved. So I don't think that this is something we should quibble about. The government has the influence and authority to do what it is saying and indicating it will do. It's just extremely disappointing that the board and especially the secretariat were not able to keep the kind of books that would maintain the integrity of the intervention that they were setting out to do.
Now, aside the dissolution, what should be the biggest step the government should take in this particular process?
Well, a lot of money has already been invested, costs have been incurred. And so there's a need to review and reconceptualize what exactly we want to do. I think that we should not completely throw out the baby with the bathwater and assume that that's the way to go. We probably need some brainstorming around how do we cut our losses, what's the best way forward. I suspect that once again, where we find ourselves is because the stakeholder engagement processes were not thorough. If proper stakeholder engagements have been done and stakeholders have been kept on board, especially when the red flag started with Bishop Dag Heward-Mills resigning, somebody should quickly have made a thorough look at the management systems in place, whether the competencies for procurement, for administrative running, and what have you were all appropriate for the intended purpose. I think that we lost an opportunity much earlier on to have cut the losses. And this is the time to make sure that going forward, we don't lose the opportunities to do what is required and do it right.
I'm grateful to you, Adam Senanu, for joining us here. But let me quickly bring in Felix Kwacho, who is Minister of State in charge of government communication. Felix, okay. Do we still have Felix? I'm not sure we do. We'll try and raise him. But this, we understand, is coming out of, the government's decision to suspend. But in terms of the report, my colleague Kwekwa Asante has been going through the Deloitte report, and he joins me with what we do know from this particular report. Kweku, what do we have so far?
So a lot of really what some would say were damning findings, and of course the presidency have been putting some of them out. They talk about portions of the total value of the contract, particularly the one relating to Sir David Ajayi and Associates, not explained, and Carrie Summers, for instance, the Nehemiah Group and others. There were funds that were spent on fundraising, but there were no tangible reward. They also talk about no loan agreement facility with JNS Talent Center Limited. That is the company involving Reverend Kusi Boateng, and the fact that a loan agreement was advanced from JNS Talent to the National Cathedral. The money was paid back. You remember Felix Samuel Kojo Brace was talking about all those, and they say that there was no contract on that. Felix Kojo provides some of those updates.
Okay, but let's join Felix himself. We have him on the line here. Felix, some few days ago, the Board of Trustees wrote that they they have not, or there has not been any adverse findings against them. But today we are reading something else. What are the major infringements that have been found by this particular report?
Well, I just finished the press conference. There are issues of financial irregularities. There are procurement breaches. There are unsupported expenditures and a general lack of due process. So, for instance, significant discrepancies were found in the fees paid to the David Ajayi and Associates Limited, who were consultants to the project, whereas the Secretariat says that they paid 113 million Ghana cedis. Sir David Ajayi says he received 117.9 million Ghana cedis. Again, if you look at the cost of the project, there are 4 separate costs reviewed in this audit report. In one breath, the Office of the President says that the total cost of the project is $286.4 million. Meanwhile, if you look at the contract that the auditors reviewed, which was signed with Rebade JV, the contract sum is pegged at $261.9 million. Again, apart from this, if you look at a progress status report, which was published in August 2024, it also quotes $268.5 million as a contract sum. And then when the contractor raised interim payment certificates, which he submitted for payment, an entirely different figure was quoted. So these discrepancies raise serious questions about what exactly the cost of the project was. Now, we have also found that all along we had been under the impression that the total cost of the project as of now, that is the whole that we all see, was $58 million. We have now discovered that there's an additional 39 million Ghana cedis dollars that is owed. If you add that, it comes to $97 million. Then there are payments made to the Nehemiah Group and another group for the same work, which shows that one group is supposed to have done it and another didn't do it, yet they have both received payments. So there are many. There's a litany of irregularities and other violations. For instance, it emerges that the Office of the President sole sourced David Ajayi without any procurement process and awarded him the contract, contrary to provisions of the Public Procurement Act. So if you put all of these together, they raise very serious fundamental issues that completely undermine this project. And that is the reason why President has taken the steps that are announced at the press briefing.
But the $58 million, has it been paid? Because you explained that if you add the $39 million, it takes the figure above $90 million. Has the $58 million been paid?
The outstanding is $39 million. That has not been paid.
Sorry, I didn't get your first part.
Hello?
So you're saying that $58 million has been paid already?
Exactly. But $39 million is yet to be paid.
Okay.
In addition to that, the way the contract was structured, every single day, as the contractor's equipment remains on site, despite having abandoned it since March 2023, every single day, additional cost is accrued. And that is why the President has instructed that the Attorney General should take lawful steps to terminate the contract.
Okay. Now, the Board of Trustees wrote a letter to the public on the 9th of July, but you have indicated that President Mahama dissolved the Secretariat on May 1. I mean, why?
Well, the Secretariat is different from the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
The Secretariat manages the day-to-day activities of the Cathedral project. The Board of Trustees have been incorporated in a manner that requires some legal maneuvering to be able to dissolve. But as for the Secretariat, it was based right here at the Presidency. And therefore, since the 1st of May, they have failed or they have ceased to exist. They are not part of the units at the Presidency as I speak to you.
Okay.
But the Board of Trustees work for the National Cathedral of Ghana, which is an entity limited by guarantee and registered on 18 July 2019. So you have to take legal steps to be able to resolve that one. And that is what the Attorney General is working on.
So once the Attorney General is handling this and some infractions, will both the Board of Trustees and the Secretariat be held responsible, or one body will take for the other?
And let me stress that even though the report reveals several instances of infractions and irregularities, it doesn't cover the full scope of the project. For instance, the 97 million that I was speaking to you about is not captured in the report. It is based on documentation that we have subsequently received. And then there are other matters involving the Neymar group and other related issues. The only way you can get to the bottom of all of this and reconcile all of the figures is for a forensic audit to be commissioned. I must also indicate that this report was commissioned by the National Secretariat itself. It is not a third party that commissioned it. So for that reason, there's a limitation in terms of what you can do with it. The only way you can have the full picture is when a forensic audit is carried out. So the President has instructed that steps be taken for the Auditor General, who has the right to audit all public finances. And to the extent that significant amounts of public funds went into this project, the Auditor General has jurisdiction. So he will conduct a forensic audit, after which we will know the full extent of issues. And then based on that, subsequent action will be taken. But as I speak to you, the National Cathedral Secretariat no longer exists.
Within which period does the President expect this forensic audit to be done?
Oh, we expect it to be done in reasonable time. I don't think that you can say they should finish today or they should finish tomorrow. But the Auditor General has capacity to do audits, and they do it all the time. And therefore, they will do so in a reasonable time. Once they are done, the President will take any further action that needs to be taken.
But do we have a fair idea of when that will start?
It will start immediately.
Okay, all right. Grateful to you, and we expect that after this is done, some possible criminal criminal prosecutions will be started against some persons. Hello, Felix of Usquachi. Okay, it looks like we've missed him there. But that's all for Top Story, brought to you by Telecel Connect. And Energy's up next is Ghana Connect with Kweku Asante.
Small money day, big money.